Hi, my name is Grace Wagner. For my book talk, I decided to do it on the book Waiting for the Biblioburo by Monica Brown and illustrated by John Pera. It is a Spanish-speaking book. It's not completely in Spanish, but it does include some Spanish vocabulary, which is awesome. And it's a really great book. It's about this girl named Ana who lives in rural Colombia, and they don't have a library, and her teacher moved away. And so she loves reading. She reads to her little brother at night, and she's read all the books in their house thousands and thousands of times. And so she's gotten to the point where she's coming up with her own stories and telling them to her brother and to herself. And then one morning she wakes up and she hears a strange noise, and it is what they call the Biblioburo. The Biblioburo is a real life story. His name is Louis, and he is from the area, and what he does is he has this huge library, and he goes and takes books to children in villages in rural Colombia. He travels multiple kilometers a day, miles and miles, and with his two donkeys, Alpha and Beto. It is a true story. My genre is nonfiction, and my strategy is reading comprehension. So I wanted to use this book to really see what my students, can glean from their reading. What are they learning? What are they, seeing? Things like that. And so my book really does fit with this genre since it's nonfiction. There's multiple CNN interviews and PBS interviews with Louis about this program that he does, and it's really awesome. And so I've implemented those into the extension activity of my lesson, and that was a great hit with my students. I loved it too, so it was quite awesome. So I'll do a little bit of a read aloud. So I don't have the book with me, but I was able to find the read aloud online. And so I'm just gonna play a little bit about when Ana hears the Biblioburo for the first time.
Clip clop, and a loud ee-ah, ee-ah. When Ana looks down the hill below her house, she sees a man with a sign that reads Biblioburo. With the man there are two burros. What are they carrying? What do you think a Biblioburo is? Let's find out. Libros, books. Ana runs down the hill to the man with the sign and the burros and the books. Burros are donkeys. Other children run to him too, skipping down hills and stomping through the fields.
So that's just a little excerpt. It's easy to tell that the kids are excited about this new opportunity of the Biblioburo. You got to see a little bit of the Spanish vocabulary that's in there, which is really awesome. And yeah, that's a really pivotal part in the book because that's the first time that they get to see the Biblioburo, and so it's really cool. Going off of that, I would like to really get into the vocabulary demands. There's tons of different vocabulary in this book, lots of tier 1 and tier 2, and then the tier 3 words. A lot of them are Spanish vocabulary words, which is really cool for those higher readiness level students that are ready for a challenge and can really expose them to other cultures kind of early on in the classroom, which is quite awesome. So some tier 1 words include hill, there, house, bed, little, girl, brother, teach, new, and stories. Those are all words that most of the 4th graders are very much comfortable with. They're everyday words that they use in their own language, and so it's pretty easy for them to read as well. They've become like sight words to them. Our tier 2 words include, or phrases I included, were fast asleep, dreaming, world outside, beyond, farm, busy, book, only, many, and just a lot of things like that. And some tier 3 words include roosters, market, libro, village, biblioburo, burro, donkey, cuentos, which is stories, make-believe, remote, Colombia, which is the location, access, abecedario, biblioteca, bibliotecario, and que bueno. And those are all just those tier 3 words. They're a little bit harder, gonna have to do some, finagling with them. A vocabulary list would be super helpful. And the book does a really good job about when it uses a Spanish word, that it will give the English word right after. So it'll say, so many cuentos, which means stories. And that's an awesome little tidbit in there because it takes that away from the teacher, possibly forgetting. So it was really great, and we didn't have any issues with that when I was teaching. And so my instructional strategy was reading comprehension. So I wanted to really focus on what are the different things that we can do to help our students comprehend what they're reading. Especially in my classroom, we have a couple IEP students, and so their reading comprehension isn't necessarily super high. They might be able to regurgitate the words really well, but they're not understanding the text. And so I really wanted to make sure my students were able to understand the text. And so what I did is I wanted my students to kind of learn some strategies. And so I read it with them. They read it a couple times with a partner and by themselves, popcorn reading. So they got multiple exposures to the text, which really aided in their comprehension. And then they had to do a discussion, a small group discussion, and then we did large group discussion, and then went on and carried out our lesson through that. But I thought this exercise was super engaging because the students loved getting to talk about a new topic. They loved the videos when we got to share those. And so I found that using outside sources to scaffold their comprehension was really helpful, including images, like the real life images, and the videos and interviews that I found. That was super helpful. I definitely think it helped them comprehend the text. I kind of just assessed them by word of mouth. I was walking around, I was involved with the small groups, with the whole class discussion. I had them think, pair, share. So they would think to themselves, pair off and share, and then I would have a couple groups share out loud, and I could really see that they were comprehending what was happening in the text, and they even drew some examples in their life, which was really cool. I will be implementing this exercise again. I think having those discussions during reading time really aids in the comprehension, and pausing and kind of explaining stuff during reading time can really aid in their understanding of new words, phrases, and just events that they haven't seen before. A lot of my students didn't know that people just didn't have books, and so them being exposed to that was really interesting. I will adapt this exercise by maybe having a worksheet for them to fill out alongside with it, because I saw that some students would say, oh, I forgot, or I don't remember, or can you read that part again, and things like that. And so I would really like for them to have a worksheet that they could document their thoughts on, maybe a setting plot type of thing. But yeah, I thought this was a really good lesson. I really enjoyed it, and I really thought it was interesting how the students were able to learn throughout the book, and I could tell that they were really comprehending because they were telling me if I were Anna, this is how I would feel, or just how Anna got excited when the Biblio Burrow came again. I get excited when I get to go to the trampoline park again. And just seeing them make those connections to their life was really insightful, and I think it showed their comprehension really well. I did also like having a few set discussion questions that we would go over, just about culture and things like that. I thought that was really interesting, and I loved getting to incorporate that. How are we similar and different to people in other cultures? I think that was a really hard hitter, and really, made them think about, okay, what in this book looks like something I see, or what is something in this book that I was flabbergasted by. And so I think that was a really helpful tool to have those questions ready for them. And then just having those extension activities with the video and the picture was really helpful, because it, helped them picture that this was a real thing. It wasn't fake. It wasn't, because the book is, I'll link the video, the book is drawn, it's illustrated, it's not photographs. And so it's very easy for the students to think, oh, this is a fiction book, somebody made this up. But no, it's a real story, it's nonfiction, and so I think it was really cool to implement those outside sources to aid in their comprehension. But yeah, that is all that I have. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.